Yo, so this time I did not complain for 7 days. Do you know how hard that is? That actually is pretty hard, and it's pretty sad that it's hard. But I did not complain for 7 days. Man, I don't know if you saw my YouTube short, but I was just looking one day at my landscape and the view I have of mountains and grass, and I was just really feeling gratitude for being able to be in a space where I can see such a beautiful sight. And so I said, you know what? I am going to exercise an attitude of gratitude, and I'm not going to complain for 7 days. And you know, it's it's a it's a good thing that needed to happen, right? Like most of us, we complain too much, even if we don't complain a lot. So I thought, let me just do this because I'm so inspired by what I'm seeing right now. Um, but most importantly, I always hear this from these high functioning people, or the billionaires or the actors and actresses. When you see these interviews, they're always exercising an attitude of gratitude. So a little bit of it stemmed from also hearing parts of that throughout podcasts and interviews over time. But overall, I just wanted to be somebody who said, you know what, I don't want to really complain this week. I want to just see how it goes. And so um, it was different to acknowledge problems, but um, not default to complaining. That's the gist of it. It was, I could address the issues, but not go down the spiral of the mess of how it happened, why it happened, what's going to happen now that it happened. Yeah. So I just tried this simple task for 7 days, no complaining, not about traffic, not about work, not about um just things in life. I just said, you know what? Let's give it a go. Let's be a good minded, like a good, happy minded, spiritually high person. And yeah, so I'll tell you, day one I almost failed, but you know, I caught myself because complaining is automatic, right? It almost feels like bonding. That's what I'll say. Complaining almost feels like bonding. It feels like you're releasing pressure. It feels like an adrenaline rush sometimes. And when you complain with somebody else, you're almost creating a super bond, a friendship like accelerates. Because typically you're complaining in spaces where you don't want to complain out loud, but when you find somebody to complain with, it just instantly connects you because now you have a safe space. But um, once I removed it, I realized how much energy it drains because even when people wanted to complain to me and my efforts to deflect it, that's draining because typically, even when people say, "Oh, I don't want to complain," I usually am like, "Oh, but it's okay," because I'll walk down the line with them because I'm like, "No, I understand," and then we go there. But now when they're saying, "Oh, I don't want to complain," I'm like, "I feel you," and then I move on. That oh, I feel you, and moving on is it came a lot. And even when I was telling myself that, it just happened a lot where you're like, yo, complaining is definitely automatic. And my phone's going off. Who is that? Where was I? But anyway, it's automatic. It reinforces negativity. It it just becomes this thing that you don't necessarily think it is. It's a very subtle growth that does no positive uh nothing positive to serve you or help you. It doesn't serve you at all, actually. Um, so when I started to stop complaining, because I said when I started to stop because I was still trying to. I did become more resolution oriented. I did try to solve problems more off the cuff and on the fly and get creative with how I could address these issues because I couldn't necessarily just rag on them. So that was cool. It was less talking and more just adjusting, which was fun to see in myself, to see me loosen up and think creatively in different ways. And I noticed people complain less too, even because, like I said, even when they tried to bring it on, I used to say, "No, I understand." Instead of that, I just said, "No, I feel you," and moved on. I noticed that people eventually didn't complain as much around me either, which is crazy. Because it's not like I told them not to complain. It's just, dang, when you don't feed into it, it almost gives them permission to come up out of it too. That's crazy, right? Because you really don't think that it's a two-way street or that you're sparking or adding flame fuels to the fire in such an impactful way. But yeah, I was helping people negatively impact themselves when I was feeding into it. And then when I stopped, they moved right along too. So that was something I was proud of. But overall, in my approach to stop, I kept questioning myself every time I was about to complain. And then I would try to decide, was I ODing? Was I like overdose on telling myself to stop complaining? Because here's the thing, the the bulk of my negative thoughts or complaining would have been harmless. Like, it wouldn't have been something super serious or dire. It was just harmless little things, but it does shape the way you see your day. It's it just changes your energy, because even though it's harmless, it changes your energy, and that's what made me really start to understand by day 6 that I need to complain less, because the fact that most of it was harmless little things, but when I went down the line previously or usually, they became like time sucks for the day, and that just wasn't cool. So now, knowing I don't necessarily want to go through that, I'm just going to be more mindful of complaining. And that's what I learned in those 7 days. It's like, hey, complaining compounds, even though it's small, harmless things. By the end of the day, you got a big old negative pool to soak in, and that's just not good for me. So I don't know about you. Well, let me know what you think about complaining. Are you seeing any differences in the days where you complain or don't, have positive days or not? Let me know all that, because I want feedback from people too. Like, I don't want to just observe things and then do things. Well, I do, hence the name, but I also want to see what other people are doing about it. Peace.